The Navy SEALs leaned back, smirking, arms crossed, their confidence radiating like heat off the desert sand. "Could you even try?" One of them laughed, glancing at the newcomer. She was younger than most of them, smaller, and her uniform still smelled faintly of newness. But there was a fire in her eyes, a quiet resolve that made their laughter sound shallow and hollow. They didn't know it yet, but tonight their pride was about to be shattered. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you were watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Lieutenant Harper Quinn. She had trained for this moment for years, carrying every ounce of doubt, every whispered, "You can't," and every dismissive smirk into the cold, sharp drills of SEAL training. The obstacle course before them was legendary, a gauntlet that had humbled even the most seasoned men, a record etched in sweat and perseverance. Harper had studied it, memorized every movement, every angle, every breath of the course, as if it were a map to something sacred. The SEALs laughed again, pointing to the first wall, the rope climb, the treacherous balance beams. "Go ahead, we'll watch you fail." But Harper didn't flinch. She didn't even smile. She only exhaled, letting the weight of silence settle over her shoulders like armor. Each heartbeat was a drum, steady and unyielding. She stepped forward. The first obstacle was deceptively simple. A high wall with ropes swinging, polished from the countless hands that had tried and failed. Harper's palms gripped the rope. The fibers bit into her skin, rough but familiar. She ascended with the calm precision of someone who had done this 1,000 times in her mind. Each movement measured, exact, efficient. The SEAL's smirks faltered, replaced with subtle unease. Something about her pace, her control, made their bravado wobble. She cleared the first wall and immediately flowed into the rope swings over the pit below. Her legs kicked with perfect timing, her body moving like water, each motion honed through discipline and determination. The wind tugged at her uniform. The sun beat down with merciless heat, and the dust rose in swirling clouds, yet she remained untouchable in her focus. The SEALs murmured among themselves. One whispered, "She's fast." Another, more loudly, asked, "Did she just?" But Harper didn't hear them. She wasn't performing for them. She was performing for herself, for every time someone had doubted her. Every sneer, every "you can't," every hint that she didn't belong here, it all funneled into this singular moment. When she reached the balance beam, the final test of finesse and nerve, the SEALs held their collective breath. Her boots whispered across the narrow wood, her arms extended like wings, the muscles in her shoulders taut, her eyes locked on the finish. A gust of wind rattled the course. One misstep could send her plummeting. But Harper's foot remained steady. She didn't stumble. She didn't waver. And then, with a final elegant leap, she crossed the finish line. The timer blinked. Silence reigned. Not a word, not a laugh, not a cheer. The SEALs were frozen, their previous arrogance evaporating in the heat of the moment. Harper turned, face flushed, chest rising and falling, but her eyes calm, piercing, unwavering. She had shattered the course record when no man had broken in over a year. A slow ripple of applause began, growing louder as some of the more senior SEALs finally understood what had happened. Their smirks vanished entirely, replaced with awe and respect. One by one they shook their heads, muttering, "Impossible." She did it. Harper exhaled, finally allowing herself a small victorious smile. But the lesson wasn't just about speed or skill. It was about courage, resilience, and refusing to let others define your limits. She could have rushed, tried to impress, or even faltered under the weight of doubt. Instead, she moved with patience, precision, and confidence, showing the man and herself what it truly meant to push beyond expectation. A moral tension hung in the air. The SEALs had mocked her, assumed weakness, and underestimated her because of her gender, her size, her experience. Yet she had turned their assumptions into her own momentum. It was a quiet, powerful lesson in humility, respect, and the price of arrogance. Later, as she sat drinking water, sweat streaming down her face, a senior instructor approached. "Lieutenant Quinn," he said, voice warm but firm, "I've never seen anything like that. You didn't just break the record, you broke every preconception we had. And you did it with discipline, grace, and courage. Well done, the SEALs, still catching their breath in pride, now lined up to offer nods of respect. Quiet congratulations, some muttering apologies for their earlier derision. Harper only smiled faintly, recognizing that the real victory wasn't in the record itself, but in the respect she had quietly demanded and earned. Because strength is not always loud. Sometimes it waits, disciplined and patient, until the moment the world finally notices. Sometimes it is underestimated until it is undeniable. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. Harper rose, adjusted her uniform, and looked toward the setting sun over the course. She felt the weight of accomplishment and the lightness of having proven herself. The world could doubt her again, but in this moment, she had shown what true determination looked like, and no one would forget it. And somewhere in the echoes of the finishing course, the SEAL's laughter had transformed into quiet admiration. And the lesson lingered. Never underestimate someone willing to try.